On September 11, 2001, 19 men changed the course of the 21st century. 2,977 people were killed. The skyline of New York changed permanently, and the United States entered a state it had not experienced for generations. Terror. In the months following September 11th, nearly every institution in the United States was asking the same question. What happens if another attack is coming? Within this environment, the CIA developed what would be known as the Enhanced Interrogation Program. History is filled with moments where language arrives before judgment. Civilian casualties become collateral damage. Mass surveillance becomes security. And while the public focused on wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, other conflict unfolded behind closed doors. The CIA began operating a network of secret detention facilities known as black sites, located in countries including Poland, Romania, Thailand, Afghanistan, and Lithuania. These facilities housed detainees captured during counterterrorism operations. Many remained in CIA custody for years. Most Americans had no idea these facilities even existed. It was intentional. They were classified, compartmentalized, and hidden bureaucratically. Among the most well-known detainees was Abu Zubaydah, captured in Pakistan in 2002. At the time, intelligence officers believed he possessed significant knowledge regarding future terrorist operations. He became one of the first major test cases for the CIA's interrogation program. According to the Senate Intelligence Committee report, Abu was subjected to sleep deprivation, nudity, stress positions, walling, confinement boxes, and waterboarding. CIA interrogators forced him into a coffin-sized box for a combined 266 hours, more than 11 days. He then spent an additional 29 hours inside of a smaller confinement box. During August 2002 alone, he was waterboarded 83 times. I was put on what looked like a hospital bed and strapped down very tightly with belts. Then a black cloth was placed over my face, and when the water came, I struggled without success to breathe. I thought I was going to die. I lost control of my urine. He then started to brutally bang my head and my back against the wall. It felt like my back was breaking. He then pointed to a large black box that looked like a wooden casket. Another detainee was Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, widely regarded as one of the principal architects of the September 11th attacks. Captured in Pakistan in 2003, he would become the most heavily interrogated prisoner in CIA history. According to the Senate report, he was waterboarded 183 times during March of 2003. I would be strapped into a special bed, and a cloth would be placed over my face. Water was then poured onto the cloth by one of the guards so that I could not breathe. The whole process was then repeated during about 1 hour. The program did not rely solely on physical coercion. Humiliation was often a part of the process. According to CIA records in the Senate report, detainees were frequently stripped naked for prolonged periods. Some remained unclothed during interrogations. Some remained unclothed while being transported. Some remained unclothed while shackled to walls and floors. Interrogators believed that removing a detainee's clothing reduced the sense of control and increased psychological vulnerability. Sleep deprivation was often paired with these techniques. Some detainees were forced to remain standing while shackled for extended periods. Others were placed in diapers because they were not permitted access to toilets during interrogations that sometimes lasted days. Abu Zubaydah later described spending long periods completely unclothed while subjected to confinement, cold temperatures, and questioning. The Senate report also documented what CIA personnel referred to as rectal feeding and rectal rehydration being performed on several detainees. Later reviews and public debate questioned the medical necessity of these procedures. One detainee, Majid Khan, later described the experience as one of the most humiliating things that has ever happened to me. While much of the CIA program remained classified, another detention scandal would eventually become visible to the entire world. In 2004, photographs from the U.S.-run prison at Abu Ghraib in Iraq were leaked to the public. The images showed detainees stripped naked, stacked in human pyramids, hooded, threatened with dogs, mocked, and photographed by American personnel. The photographs spread globally. Unlike the black sites, Abu Ghraib was impossible to explain through legal memoranda or classified briefings. These images became some of the defining photographs of the War on Terror. For many Americans, Abu Ghraib became the first moment they seriously confronted questions about detainee treatment after 9/11. It's important to note that Abu Ghraib and the CIA Black Site program were separate programs operated by different organizations. Abu Ghraib was primarily a military detention facility operated by the United States Army. The Black Sites were operated by the CIA, but public discussion often merges them together. Both became symbols of broader debate about detention, interrogation, secrecy, and the limits governments place upon themselves during wartime. Abu Ghraib transformed an argument into an image. You can debate laws and you can debate policy. You can even debate intelligence reports, but photographs you cannot debate. One of the most notable figures to emerge from the controversy was former CIA officer John Kiriakou. Kiriakou participated in counterterrorism operations after September 11th and was involved in the capture of Abu Zubaydah. Years later, he became one of the first CIA officials to publicly acknowledge the use of waterboarding. In a December 2007 interview with ABC News, John Kiriakou made 3 key statements. The CIA was torturing its prisoners. Torture was official United States government policy, and the torture policy had been personally approved by the president himself. What happened afterwards remains one of the most unjust chapters in the story. Almost nobody involved in designing the program went to prison. Almost nobody involved in authorizing the program went to prison. Almost nobody involved in carrying it out went to prison. But John did. In 2012, he pleaded guilty to disclosing the identity of a covert CIA officer and was sentenced to 30 months in federal prison. Most constitutional rights are easy to support during peaceful decades. Most legal principles are easy to defend when no one feels threatened. The difficult moment arrives during crises. When populations become frightened, and when governments feel cornered, and when uncertainty outweighs patience. The CIA Advanced Interrogation Program emerged from one of those moments, a period when the United States was attempting to understand an unfamiliar threat, while simultaneously trying to prevent another national trauma. More than 2 decades later, historians, lawyers, intelligence officials, policymakers, and former detainees continue examining the same questions that emerged in the months after September 11th. Not because they're easy questions, but because history rarely provides permanent answers, only new situations that force society to ask them again. Governments keep archives, historians write books, lawyers debate definitions, but somewhere in those records is the number 183. The number of times water was poured over a man's face while another man watched. Everything else is an argument about what to call it.